Hello, friends, and welcome to another installment of Go Tell It on the Mountain. This week, I get a chance to be with Reverend Elizabeth Feltz, who's the pastor at Beneficent in Providence, Rhode Island, where I'll be honored to be a guest preacher on this coming Sunday. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you so much.
Hi, Reverend Goodwin. It's wonderful to join you today.
Thank you so much for making time for us to chat a little bit. So I always begin, Go Tell It on the Mountain. I really want to center it in your experience. And so if you could just share with me, how did you come to your call at Beneficent? Talk to us a little bit about your call journey to serve this church.
It's kind of a trip. So I'm going to start at 2016. And I had served 6 different churches from Boston to Chicago to San Francisco Bay Area. I was living in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I woke up, I had also started working as a hospice chaplain about 6 years before that, because I was ready for a change. I woke up on November 9th, 2016, and I realized that we had elected a new president. And I decided in about a minute that it was time for me to return to parish ministry, because I knew that the people that I loved in the denomination that I loved were going to be hurting, and that we were going to be in crisis for at least 4 years. So I rewrote my profile and got all my chicks in a row, and I decided that I didn't want to serve the kind of church I'd served before. I had served several white suburban churches, affluent churches. I had served a couple of urban downtown churches. I really wanted to do something different, and I was willing to go anywhere in the world. So I interviewed all over the country, and then Beneficent came up. Beneficent is a really different kind of church. I was talking with you about this a little bit earlier, but so there are 3 UCC churches in the city of Providence. There's the stately formal church across the river. There is the small, informal, spirit-filled, family-oriented church also across the river. And then there's Beneficent. And the search committee said, Beneficent is the messy downtown church. And I said, that's the church for me. I'm ready for messy. So Beneficent's a bit of an anomaly in New England. It's robustly multiracial. It is aggressively open and affirming. It has a huge spectrum theologically, everything from confirmed atheists to old line liberals to Pentecostals to people who also practice Judaism and ancestor worship and Rastafari and Buddhism and other things. It's a great range of ages, and it also has a huge socioeconomic spectrum. It's folks with who are very comfortable financially, but there are others who are just patching it together with whatever they can, Section 8, SNAP, food banks, kindness of strangers, and then there's everything in between. We have more than our share of dreamers and idealists, artistic people, gifted people, creative spirits, outside the box thinkers, misfits and scoundrels. And of course, it's Rhode Island. So it means that people like to find their own way to do things. They don't always follow the bylaws. It's a restless, passionate bunch of people with really strong opinions and very high ideals. And they are always on an urgent mission. They have really done the work for 278 years. And it's just an amazing, energetic, wonderful place to be. And that's how I got here. I got here about 3.5 years ago, and then COVID happened. So I feel like I still have a lot of familiarizing to do, both to tell them who I am and to find out who they are. But that's sort of an introduction.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And, the image I had, right, is this beautiful banquet with so many different things plentifully offered at the table. And so my next question is going to be a drill down on that banquet table to ask you, Elizabeth, what at that banquet I'm sure there's many things, but is there something particular that you are just really excited about that's being provided on that banquet table?
Oh, gosh, this church, the name beneficent, it means generous and doing good. And that's the sole reason they exist. Um, and have for 278 years. So, I mean, I'm so excited about how they've really lived into that mission all the way along. So we give out a lot of scholarships to University of Rhode Island College, Tougaloo College, Talladega College, numerous post-secondary scholarships for students at colleges or vocational schools or technical schools. We have a music school that gives
Mm,
free music lessons to primary and secondary students. We're about to replace our failing organ pipes with pipes that were donated by a church in Maine that closed its doors. And that is the ultimate recycling project. I'm very excited about it. I want to see them do more with the arts. We do a lot of crowdfunding for emerging nonprofits. And I think that gives them a sense of heart and a sense of investment in the community. And those are all like emerging nonprofits right in Rhode Island and mostly in Providence. So it's all very, very local. One thing it's kind of fun. Last year we got a couple of generous bequests from the estates of people who admired Beneficent. And when the church council was pondering what to do with that money, I said, why don't you form a working group that is only millennials and Gen Z folks and let them decide what to do with the money. And they were immediately excited about that idea because this is how we teach people to be disciples, by giving them
mm,
responsibility and authority. And this is also how we get to hear their voices and find out what matters to them. And we need to pay attention to that. Another thing I'm excited about is we're remodeling our big kitchen. I can't wait to see what they will do with that. Food insecurity is higher than I have ever seen it here right now. And within 2 blocks of us, we have 2 college campuses, two different college campuses. And the Providence Journal has recently reported that about 22% of college students in Providence report skipping meals because they can't afford to eat. So I hope there's a ministry there, but they'll decide, they'll figure it out. I really love this church. I love what they do. I love how called they are and how passionate they are about it. And because they are so called, that's how I feel adamantly called myself.
mm, mm. I really appreciate that, what you kept saying, and I hope that people watching this, as well as folks in your own congregation, is lay leadership empowerment. I think that it's something that I think as a conference we'll be investing in, what we're going to be calling a lay leadership academy, so that we are sort of creating that holding space for moderators and treasurers and pastoral relation committee folks and all of that, to sort of strengthen and empower our laity in the same ways that I think we offer a lot of resources for authorized ministers. I think a forward thinking conference is also going to be like, well, here's the suite of things we have for lay leaders who are carrying so much, I think, of this justice load of the how do we be relevant in our community. So I heard you saying that, and I hope that the people at Beneficent hear you kind of championing the empowerment of the laity, and really not only just championing it, but it also sounds like it's really valuable to you to sort of hear the perspective and the wisdom of the table, that kind of welcomes more people in, and I would imagine creates buy-in for kind of how the church moves forward.
You're right. It's easy to champion them because they are champions. This church really walks its talk.
Mm. Always good to hear that. So, Elizabeth, my final question is, if people wanted to join us in worship at this multicultural, charismatic, at the same time holding a sense of thoughtfulness and meditation, everything you described, if they want to be with us on Sunday, how could they join us in worship?
Well, you can come in person. We're back in the meeting house now, and that's 300 Way Bassett Street in Providence. It's in what we call Down City. And there's parking on Sunday, no problem. That's an urban thing. You got to make sure you got parking. Parking is free in Providence on Sundays. It's 10 o'clock Sunday morning, and come join us. The other things you can do are we live stream. So you can find a link for that at our website, beneficentchurch.org. And if you're doing something else at that hour on Sunday morning, you can watch the YouTube recording. We have a YouTube channel. Just type in Beneficent Church in the search bar. We're the only Beneficent Church anywhere, so you'll get us right away. So there are 3 different ways to join us. And if you have questions, visit our website, beneficentchurch.org. It's newly designed. We're very excited about it, and we might be able to answer your questions there, or just give me a call and I'll answer them in person.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I hope, friends, as you've been listening to Elizabeth share some about Beneficent in Providence, that you will avail yourself to visit or watch online or be connected. So many of this work and other things we do in the Southern New England Conference is made possible through your investment in things like the Phyllis Wheatley Fund for Innovation that helps us to not only think about lay leadership academies, but also the other ways that we might be stronger together. 600 congregations, 1,400 authorized ministers, and 120,000 people doing God's work in Southern New England. So thanks, Elizabeth, and I look forward to being with you on Sunday.
Thank you, Reverend Goodwin. It's been lots of